Donald Trump telling supporters in Florida today that he believes he is winning the race, but CNN's new national poll shows him trailing Hillary Clinton by 5 points. So can he still turn things around? Here to discuss now, CNN political commentator Kayleigh McEnany, a Trump supporter, Democratic strategist Maria Cardona, a Clinton supporter, GOP political commentator Paris Dennard, who is backing Trump, and CNN political commentator Matt Lewis, a senior contributor to the Daily Caller. Hello, panel. Welcome.
Hello, Don.
Paris,
hey,
Don. You first. Donald Trump's immigration policy has been at the forefront of his campaign, so let's listen to what he told CNBC. This is back in 2012.
You have people in this country for 20 years. They've done a great job. They've done wonderfully. They've gone to school. They've gotten good marks. They're productive. Now we're supposed to send them out of the country? I don't believe in that, Michelle, and you understand that. I don't believe in a lot of things that are being said.
So he's saying he doesn't believe in deportation of nonviolent immigrants. So what changed, Paris?
You know, I think at the end of the day, Mr. Trump is talking about, he decided to raise the issue of not only illegal immigration, but those illegal immigrants that are here that are committing a lot of crime. And that's been his focus throughout the campaign, from the early starts of the campaign when he had the African-American gentleman whose son was killed by an illegal immigrant that was here in the country, and he's gone across the country doing that. So the immigration issue is broad, and the immigration issue one is very delicate. He's also said that he was going to deal with this issue with respect and not just toss people out and break up families.
But you didn't really explain to me the flip-flop there.
Listen, I can't explain to you what has changed in what he said, but what I will say is that there's many dimensions to immigration and many dimensions to illegal immigration reform, and Mr. Trump has started now to focus on the criminal aspects of what's going on with those people that are coming across the country illegally.
Okay. Do you guys, Maria, you're shaking your head? No?
Yeah, I mean, that is certainly not how he started, and Paris knows it. The way that he started his campaign, in fact, the very first day that he announced his campaign, he started by demonizing Mexican immigrants, calling them rapists and criminals. From there, he went on to talk about a deportation force. He was very clear, and we have many recordings that prove this, that say that all of the 11 million undocumented immigrants that are here have got to leave. He said many times, they have to go. They have to go. He said it to Anderson. He said it to Dana. He said it to Don. He said it to Wolf. He said it to every journalist that would listen. The 11 million undocumented immigrants have got to go. And so what that tells me from the 2012 recording that we just heard is that he saw this simply as a political opportunity. Okay. He knew that by talking about this, he would get the kind of support on the right that he would need in order to get the nomination.
Kayleigh, how do you explain the change?
Well, first, I just have to say that, you know, hearing a Clinton supporter talk about political opportunity, I have a few words for you. TPP, gold standard, now it's bad. Same-sex marriage, there was an evolution on that.
But on this one, how do you explain that?
Well, there are far more Clinton 180s than Trump.
But on this one, Kayleigh, again, how do you explain it?
I understand we can't talk about Clinton, even though she's in the race.
No, we can discuss Clinton, but we're talking about Donald Trump.
Okay, so I'll get to bring up all of Clinton's flip-flops in a second after I explain Trump's.
No, you may not get to do that.
Okay.
We're talking about Donald Trump right now. If there's a segment on Clinton's flip-flops, if there's a tape of her flip-flopping, we would play it and we'd ask your opinion. This is a tape of Donald Trump flip-flopping on immigration, and I'm asking your opinion on Donald Trump. How do you explain
Okay, there are lots of Clinton flip-flops. Look it up on YouTube, viewers.
Okay,
I hope you will.
Matt, how do you explain the flip-flop?
See, she can't.
I can explain it, but I just think it's unfair that we can't bring up Clinton flip-flops.
Because we're not talking about Hillary Clinton
I think I agree with Paris. You'd have to ask Donald Trump, but I do think he sat down with women like Sabine Durden, who have explained how her child was lost at the hands of an illegal immigrant. That's not to say all are bad. Donald Trump stood by the Mexican president and said there are many good illegal immigrants here that, you know, contribute to society. That being said, the cost is too high when we lose one American citizen at the hand of an illegal immigrant. We've lost hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. So that's the explanation of what changed.
That's a very good answer, Kayleigh. You could have said, why didn't you just say that in the beginning?
I have to make it tough on you, Don.
Okay, all right. Matt, is that I mean, politicians do evolve and they do change their positions. Is that unusual?
Look, this is a con job. Donald Trump conned the Republican Party to get the nomination. This was 2012. This isn't ancient history. This is 2012. He sounds exactly like Donald Trump with all of his verbal tics and, you know, just the mannerisms and the rhetoric, except he's saying the exact opposite thing. And he's like 66 years old at this point, too. It's not like he's 20 and he changed his mind. But, you know, remember he said Mitt Romney was too harsh? This is not a surprise. He said Mitt Romney was too harsh with the self-deportation. He criticized Pat Buchanan for being too harsh and anti-Semitic.
So you're saying it's political expediency?
I'm saying he's a phony and he conned the Republican Party, and he's flip-flopped on almost everything.
Okay. On Saturday, Donald Trump the campaign advertised a big speech in Gettysburg. Let's listen to some of what he said.
They're trying to poison the mind of the American voter. Every woman lied when they came forward to hurt my campaign. Total fabrication. The events never happened. Never. All of these liars will be sued after the election is over. But a simple phone call placed to the biggest newspapers or television networks gets them wall-to-wall coverage with virtually no fact-checking whatsoever.
So, Matt, back to you. By most accounts, he went on after that to give a pretty good speech about policy and what he planned to do. But by starting with this, did he sort of just feed into the, stepping on his own message? And did he miss a big opportunity here?
Absolutely. He gave that speech. I think there were 16 or 17 days left in the campaign. Every single news cycle is precious. When you're rolling out a substantive policy proposal,
At Gettysburg.
In Gettysburg, so they had all of the media hooks or gimmicks, whatever you want to call it, to get the press to pay attention. We do it at Gettysburg. We hype it as a contract for America. We have Newt Gingrich go out there and say, pay attention to this. It's one of the best speeches in the history of mankind. And when you want the press to pay attention to something that's very substantive, very policy driven, you can't dangle any other shiny objects in front of the media. You have to just talk about things like term limits, things like building the wall, things like ending TPP, all of those, sort of populist things that he wants to do that I think would be kind of popular with the American public. Instead, he spends the first, 12 or 15 minutes talking about suing women, thus guaranteeing that will, number one, be the headline, and number two, that he'll inject once again this storyline about his treatment of women back into the press.
Kayla, he says he's going to sue the women, right, after the election. So if he does, do you think that there's some concern that he's going to be distracted for, with at least 11 lawsuits after he's president or during his presidency?
No, because I think he'll put the country first if he's president and perhaps, put this aside. But look, if
do you think he stepped on his message?
No, because look, if any of us on this panel were accused of doing things we didn't do, our initial reaction would be, I want to explain this and say I didn't do this, and threaten to sue the person for defamation for accusing me of something I didn't.
So you said he's going to put it aside, he's not going to sue the women?
Well, I think if he was president of the United States, then I think, yes, the country comes first, and it would be a huge distraction to have a myriad of lawsuits on the side. But if he's not president, of course, if they defamed his character, these women with the kissing allegations, and he needs to pursue it.
Paris,
why not put it aside now, though? Running for president's a big deal. Yeah. Stopping Hillary Clinton's an important deal. Why not put it aside now for the good of the country and focus on winning the election and not focus on threatening lawsuits?
That is a great tease. We'll answer it right after the break. Back now with my panel, Kayleigh McEnany, Maria Cardona, Paris Dennard, and Matt Lewis. Okay, so you were taking issue with something. Was it you?
I think it was Paris.
It was Paris.
Yeah.
Paris, what were you taking issue with?
Well, what I was taking issue with is the fact that, Mr. Trump is a fighter. And so the idea that he can't fight back when he's been talked about, lied on. If you've ever been attacked or called out of your name, which I have, about the way, you're going to want to defend that. And the other point is, and this is the last point, he's done substantive speeches before. He laid out his immigration policy in Phoenix, Arizona. He had a great meeting and speech in Mexico. I mean, he's done this. He went to the African American Church of Detroit and gave a good message there. And nobody wanted to talk about it. Nobody wanted to cover it. The reason why he wanted to...
We covered that.
Well, but the reason why he wanted to defend himself is because the media continues to make this an issue, so he can't set it aside.
But
you all don't want to set it aside.
He makes it an issue because he can't shut up about it.
And neither can you.
No.
And neither can the media. So he defends himself.
Every single chance that he is speaking to the public. Here's the thing. As a strategy, if you are a candidate and you get accused of something that you say you didn't do, yes, you defend yourself. How?
Period.
You put out a statement. and then you do 1 or 2 interviews, and then you shut up about it, and you
let your
start
surrogates
talking
deal
about
with it
your
if
issues.
you want them to deal with it.
Exactly.
So listen, Paris, so then you would have us ignore? You would have the media ignore these women and the allegations in this story? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not. I'm saying if you all want to continue to talk about it, then he should continue to talk about it because he needs to set the record straight from the horse's mouth.
So if you're giving a speech that is sort of at an historical site like Gettysburg, do you want the record to reflect that you spoke about women, or do you want the record to respect that you gave an historical speech worthy of giving at Gettysburg?
Well, in a 60-minute speech, if he talked about setting the record straight for 15 minutes and there was the rest of the time that he spent setting out a substantive policy on his first 100 days in office, I think that you can do that, because when you're president of the United States, you have to be able to multitask and do multiple things. As we talk about President Obama all the time, he's able to do that, and Mr. Trump is doing that today.
I don't know if Paris
reflects an amateur,
getting my
unprofessional
point,
campaign.
and I'll ask Kayleigh. Anytime, if Donald Trump says, I'm holding a press conference at Trump Tower, when he said, I'm holding a press conference at Trump Tower, I'm going to run for president, everybody showed up. If he says, I'm going to give a press conference at Trump Tower, and I'm going to talk about these women and what I plan to do with them, don't you think the media would show up and put it on television? And if he says, I'm going to give a press conference to lay out my first 100 days at Gettysburg, do you understand I'm saying the distinction? If you want to talk about the women, then give a press conference, put out a release. If you're going to give an historic speech, shouldn't you just give the speech?
I understand what you're saying, but I don't think Donald Trump's going to take advice from Maria and the Clinton campaign as much as I love Maria or the media. But look, he gave his speech. And what I really love about Donald Trump, honestly, is like he reacts like a real person would react. Yes. A real person would want to defend themselves if a dozen people, I believe coordinated by the Clinton campaign, showed up and made false allegations. A real person wants to defend themselves. He's not going to be a mannequin politician like Hillary Clinton, who releases the press statement like Maria says, acts like it didn't happen, and shows up and gives the mannequin poll-tested, focus group-tested speech.
But
he's a real
But
person.
but part of being president, part of being a statesman, and part of the job of being president is to subsume your passions, and to be to say what is diplomatic and appropriate, right? It's to be disciplined. So this isn't just an election test. This is a governing question.
Right,
and look,
Matt, I know you.
Matt,
It just bothers me.
Let Kayleigh get in.
Matt, I hear you, but what I don't understand, quite frankly, about Republicans, establishment Republicans who don't back Trump, is you would rather have, for my political philosopher friends out there, a Machiavelli president who lies and deceives us about her emails, but put forward, she's the perfect mannequin presidential politician you'd all hope for and dream for, but behind the scenes, she is Machiavelli misleading the American public. That's what the establishment would rather have, and it really makes me sick.
Drain the swamp.
Drain the swamp.
Well, you know what?
That was for Matt.
If he talked about that, then it would be different. But here's what's so ironic. Do you remember when he first started his campaign and he would call into shows and he would tweet and he would do press conferences? Everybody marveled at how he was so good at manipulating the media, and every single message he wanted to put out, you all soaked it up and put it out there. He was playing the media like a puppet master. Guess what? It is now reversed. It seems like he just has completely forgotten how to manipulate the media, because guess
he
what?
always had kryptonite.
He is not in a position where he is winning, and that is the difference between when he started and where he is now. He has not been able to manipulate the majority of the American people.
He always had this Achilles heel, which was that he has to fight back twice as hard. And Hillary Clinton figured out how to get under his skin and how to bait him. That is his kryptonite. And look, I would say to Kayleigh, I'm trying to give Donald Trump advice. I think, honestly, this is sincere. I think if he actually took this advice, he would win. He would do better had he taken it a while ago, at least. And it's a political maxim which says, don't get mad, don't get even, get ahead. Donald Trump should worry about getting ahead, not getting even, getting ahead. That's what he did in Gettysburg.
And he should not be trying to manipulate the American people, like Maria just said. That might be what Hillary Clinton wants to do.
No, he hasn't been able to do it. That's what he's done with his supporters, but he can't do it with the majority of the American people.
He's not about manipulation. He is honest and straightforward, and he knows. And the American people know that.
Maria, let him finish the statement. I'll let you get in.
The American people know that. That's why they resonate with him. That's why when you talk about trustworthiness and you talk about effectiveness, you know exactly where he stands and what he believes in. Secretary Clinton can say one thing, She can say one thing in private to donors and say another thing to the public. That's what WikiLeaks revealed, which nobody wants to talk about. But Mr. Trump is the type of person who's not going to manipulate the American people. He's going to stand up and fight for us. That's what we want, and that's why he's making America great again.
His own words prove that he absolutely was out to manipulate the American people, and he's been able to manipulate at least 38% of the American people into supporting him. He doesn't believe a thing that comes out of his mouth. He is saying this because he thinks this is how he won the nomination, but he is sorely miscalculated, because the majority of the American people actually want somebody who knows how to govern, who has principles and has knowledge and has expertise and has the temperament to be president of the United States, and that is not Donald Trump.
Here's
she had 30 years to do it, and she failed.
Where you said manipulate, I don't know about manipulate the media. We have to remember then, you're looking at, months ago in the lens of now. There were 16 other candidates on the Republican side who were in the race. There were also other Democratic candidates in the race. Donald Trump simply said yes to the interviews when most people would not say yes to the interviews. So if there was some manipulation, maybe going on, but he said yes. And so now he is complaining about the same people who gave him a platform to bring his views to the fore, which does not make sense. So there is a difference between now and then, and we should keep focus on that. Thank you very much. Great panel.
Thanks, Don.
Thank you, Don.
We come right back.